People who have pretended to fall asleep. What is something interesting you've overheard? I remember way back I couldn't sleep on Christmas Eve. You know, being a little kid and all. So during this sleepless night where I guess my parents thought I was asleep, I heard my dad say, "Where do you think we should hide the new puppy?" That was pretty much at the top of my list. So naturally I was excited that I was getting a puppy. They talked for a good 20 minutes about the puppy, saying things like how should we keep it from barking before he finds him? Before I dozed off. Next morning, I discovered that my parents knew I was awake and just decided to duck with me. There was no goddamn puppy. I got a Game Boy though, so it wasn't too bad. When I was 6/7 I remember staying up late without the babysitter realizing whilst my parents were out. I remember when they came back home I was so worried about getting into trouble for still being awake that I pretended to be asleep. Mum came in the room asking whether or not I was awake. I stayed quiet, and then she just sat down on my bed. She was quiet for what felt like forever but was probably only a couple of minutes before she bent over, stroked my hair, and kissed the top of my head whilst telling me how much she loved me and how much I meant to her, and then she tucked the covers around me tighter and left. To this day it's my favorite memory of her and one I've never shared with anyone. Edit. Thank you so much for the gold. Never expected to receive any. It just proves what I've always known. I have an amazing mum. Also to everyone who told me to tell her, I will. Her birthday is coming up in a month, so I'm going to figure out how to word it in a birthday card. Was spending the night at a friend's house. I'm a guy, she's a girl. Brought my friend over because we were out partying. We all slept in the same room. I was laying on the floor near my friend when I heard my friend Andrea call my name. Wanting to sleep I ignored her, not moving, to which she responded, "Okay, Andy, I think he's asleep. Come here." About 5 minutes later I hear the bed squeaking and her soft moans. One of them sneezed about 15 minutes into it, in which I responded, "Bless you." They immediately stopped. 10/10 would do again. Edit. Holy shit, I got gilded. Thanks, my gold was expiring in a few days. Now I can spend more time picking out these smokes instead of worrying about being gilded. Close bracket. Must have been about 16. 17ish. Was staying at a friend's house who was with his girlfriend. He was the first in our circle to have sex and he ducking loved to brag about it. How much of a natural he was. How surprised his girlfriend was that she was his first. All that cliche bollocks. We all just laughed. Let him have his fun. And got on with it. Anyway. Back to being at his place with her. I go and crash early on the floor of their room, in a kick-ass little blanket pile with her dog. It was great. I was just getting bored of him rampantly flirting at her like a brain-damaged peacock. So, about a half hour later, they come in. And of course they start ducking. I honestly think they forgot I was there or something. I hear very loud kissing. A few Batman grunts. A bit of whimpering. They had started and finished in less than a minute. So I'm lying, curled up in the corner of their room under blankets and a dog, listening to my friend cry in shame while his girlfriend was finishing herself off. That was a great night. When I was a kid my mom would make my brother and me take naps for like 45 minutes. I pretended like I was sleeping. And I heard my mom talking on the phone to my grandma. During the conversation I assume my grandma asked what my brother and I were up to. Because she said Imhully's brother is sleeping. And Imhully is pretending to be asleep. I was like, duck. She said she knew I was faking because my mouth was closed. And whenever I'm actually asleep my mouth is slightly open. Ever since that day, whenever I'm pretending to be asleep for whatever reason, I keep my mouth slightly open. Thanks for the tip, mom. Your mom only told you that to know when you're faking your sleep. You got. Or because she really didn't give two shits whether or not he was actually asleep. She just wanted 45 minutes of silence. Weekend retreat at church camp. My buddy and another friend's girl and I ended up in a room with 2 bunk beds. We were chilling when I realized that I was the third wheel. So I powered down. First there were tests to see if I was awake. Then she climbed to his top bunk. Then kissing. Then her moaning. Then her telling him he should wash his hand. I got bored and did some fake sleep talking. They laughed and continued. But they called it a night without rounding home. She left. And I figured it was best to not give high fives till the next day. I don't know why I waited until we were at his house. Maybe she rode back with us. Still. It was my first time playing Super Nintendo. And as he handed me the controller that would introduce me to Yoshi, I asked him, "You did wash your hands, right?" He was so thrilled to get to talk to someone about it. This dumbass knows that we know he's awake, right? That's when you fake snore. You need to sell it. The more they say it, the louder you get. Don't forget the breathing. Most people breathe slow and deep while sleeping. Shallow breaths gives it away. So does smiling when they talk about you. I'm only friends with him because I feel sorry for him. Edit. For those wondering what I did afterwards, I played it cool for the rest of the night and then just never talked to him again. When I was 8. On Christmas Eve I overheard Santa eating the cookies and drinking the milk. Later he opened the fridge and ate a large chunk of a cake and ran around the living room smearing the cake everywhere. Santa was our dog. This for some reason caught me off guard. Was not expecting the dog. When I attempted suicide at 13, I pretended to be asleep in my hospital bed. My parents actually believed I was, and I heard my mom say to my dad, "First, my brother. Now her. What am I doing wrong?" It broke my heart because she is a wonderful mother and always had been. We just have bad genetics when it comes to mental illness in my family. I'll never forget those words, and I'm constantly trying to prove to her the wonderful job she's done. Night after drinking with friends, I wasn't really pretending, more trying to keep my head from spinning. I overhear my buddy say to my other friend, "I wonder how easy it is to smother someone to death." Was in this messed up relationship with my ex-husband when I was pregnant with my second kid. We had a roommate, female, but we would all have sex with each other because we were young and free-spirited or something. Anyway, I pretended to be asleep one night because I didn't feel like having sex that night and didn't want to turn anybody down or make up an excuse. My ex-husband and the roommate got to talking in the next room. The bedroom door was open so I could hear them pretty clearly, and she asked him why he married me anyway. His response: "I just didn't know what else to do at that point." Seemed like the next logical step and I took it. I honestly wish I hadn't done it, and I wish I was single right now living life. But now I have this ducking family and I'm not sure how I'm gonna get out. Hit me real hard. A French girl I met in a hostel came into where I was sleeping and just sat there. I had just cut it off with her, so I didn't want to deal with her shitty, so I pretended to be asleep for a few minutes. She just mumbled random shitty. She was pretty drunk. Finally, what got me up was when, in the cutest French accent, she told me she was going to set me on fire in my sleep. I should have mentioned that. Yes. I did sleep with her again after that. Sometimes you gotta do messed up shit to stay not on fire. I was drunk at a party and couldn't fathom the world, so I laid down. Closed my eyes in a dark room. I heard two of my friends come in. One came over to me and poked me in the ribs, then said it's fine. He's asleep. Then proceed to talk about how both of them were cheating on their boyfriends and who at the party they wanted to duck. Not you. Apparently. Surprising I was included on the list. After they left, I spent the next 10 minutes quietly laughing. A loud fart followed by "osh tea." And then some shuffling sounds. A long high-pitched fart followed by a whispered "Christ." Been holding that for hours. Middle school sleepover lol. This is obviously fake. Everyone knows the ones that people hold in for hours are about 10 liters of low-frequency ground rumbling farts. Unless it's the one where it goes back up in the stomach and then back to your sphincter and back again until it finally comes. It's got so much back pressure and forward pressure built up from being sucked back up and pushed back down the ass tube that it comes out silent, but holding hot, thick and musty air and makes a pshhhhhhhh sound. Whoa. Full stop. Those ones feel the best. I was pretending to be asleep in a hostel dorm room because I didn't want to deal with others. Girl and a guy started ducking in the bed across from me. She was on top and kind of with yay horsey. Yay. Wee. My mum told a friend via telephone. I thought my husband was cheating. So now I do it too. I still don't know what to do. Edit. My father has not cheated and it's proven. My mum is just stupid. They're getting divorced now. Didn't necessarily overhear anything, but I pretended to fall asleep when I was about 12 because I heard someone coming into the room that my younger sister and I shared and thought it was my mom who would yell at me for being on my iPad at 2 AM. Turns out it was a robber with a crowbar. He just peeked into the room and went out when he saw us in there. Really glad I didn't realize until the next morning who it was. I have no idea how I would have reacted if I'd realized some strange man was in my room at 2 AM. Edit. The only reason I know why he had a crowbar was because my dad told me. The police knew he took one to all the houses he robbed. He and his sister worked together serial robbing houses around our area, and I don't know how they found out or anything. I was 12. This was 6 years ago. I'm just going off what my dad told me and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't lie to me about that for no reason. Pretended to be asleep at a sleepover. Heard my supposed friends planning to throw my clothes in the tree. Duck middle school. That's nothing. We filled my friend's sleeping bag with uncooked hot dogs. Of course he woke up and resisted. But we were stronger. This will probably get buried, but here goes. One night during high school, my friend and I got invited to a party. I didn't drive back then, so my friend picked me up. All went well on our way to the party. On the way back, however, he got pulled over. As we were pulling to the side of the road, I told him that I was gonna pretend to be sleeping, since I was the passenger. Anyway, I hear the cop get out of his cop car, walk towards our car, stops at the window but doesn't say anything. I can feel the brightness of his flashlight, but I don't hear him or my friend say anything. After about what seemed like an eternity, I decide to open my eyes to see what's going on. That's when I see my friend, the guy who is driving, is pretending like he is sleeping too. So a few of you nice folks want to know what happened after I woke up. Not really anything excited. Which is why I left it out initially. No high-speed chases or shootout with the cops. Just two dumb kids who were terrified of getting a ticket. So after my initial internal holy FCK moment, the cop, who was obviously messing with us, apologized for waking us up and asked us to step out of the car. He never said, but I'm sure he suspected us of being under the influence. Which we weren't. My friend and I were just being dumb kids. Him more so than me, obviously. We fully cooperated, and since we weren't out past curfew, we were soon on our way. The reason the cops pulled us over? My friend's car had a busted tail light. I asked him what did he hope to accomplish by pretending to be sleep driving. To which he replied that he thought I had a smart idea and he should do what I did. He'll probably be glad to know that his most embarrassing moment is now my highest rated comment on Reddit. I was dozing off in my bed with my girlfriend at the time when I heard her confess her love for me. She was pretty hammered, but she went into intricate detail about how she feels respected, enjoys the sex, and sees a serious future with me. The next morning I got yelled at for not cuddling and that it was a major issue. I don't think she even knew of her confession. Spelling. My mum did this once when a friend of her father came round to visit. She was tired and pretended to fall asleep on the sofa, cause she didn't want to be spoken to. Her father and his friend proceed to talk about the war. This is World War II and their Polish. This friend was sent to the border between Poland and Ukraine, and some villages were attacked by neighboring Ukrainians for some reason I'm still not sure about. He said they killed people by sawing them in half. And loads of other gruesome things she wouldn't tell me. Edit. Thank you so much for the information. I was always curious about what happened but never wanted to ask. World War II really showed a dark side to humanity, and I think a lot of the atrocities that happened in Eastern Europe should be remembered. Please remember incidents like this so that no one needs to suffer like that again. I've heard my dad listening to PRN through the speakers when I was a kid. Maybe 7 or 8. I couldn't even comprehend what I heard and fell asleep shortly thereafter. My mom to her friend. When I was like 8. I don't actually even like her. She's so annoying. I want to get rid of her. Naturally I burst into tears. She said she was sorry. She knew I was awake. And it was just a joke. She's got a cruel sense of humor. Fell asleep on a table outside at a party. Woke up but remained with head on table. Cute girl I was talking to earlier begins discussing me with my friend. Then says she considered getting off with me earlier but I kept passing out. I'm like, duck, yeah, let's get it on. Drunk me springs up and says, well, I'm sober, and now then passes out again. Informed by said friend of my idiocy the following day. Freshman year in college. I wake up at 3 AM to my roommate and her friend drunk whispering about me in the kitchen area. She gets up too early. I hate how she doesn't go out on Fridays. So annoying. Etc. If you had a problem with me as a roommate, tell it to me straight. Preferably do this early in the semester. Not the week before term ends. So that I can adjust my habits and be a better roommate.